So should we start with this one's?
Should we start with one where it can only get better?
There's no lack of controversy behind this one, is there? Dolittle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Previewed earlier this week, didn't it? With previews, and I have to say, before you go into this,
Go on.
a friend of mine,
Yep.
nothing to do with movies, took herself to the cinema to go
Okay.
and watch this, and picked up her phone afterwards and went, "Good God, what have I just watched? Why is it made up for the big screen?"
Yeah. So this is directed, and I have to stress this with an asterisk, for the most part, by Stephen Gaghan.
Right.
Now, Stephen Gaghan's the mind behind films such as Syriana,
Yes.
films like that. Yeah, so it makes complete sense that if you were going to do a big budget, almost Pirates of the Caribbean style take on Dolittle in 2020, you'd absolutely get Stephen Gaghan to do it. What actually happened here is that there was something of a disagreement behind the scenes between the studio and the producers. The studio weren't happy with the cut, asked the producers to go and retool it. So the film got reshot about halfway through. And Gaghan has had contributing fellow directors. Jonathan Liebesman was one, for instance. And said producers are, of course, Robert Downey Jr. and Susan Downey, better known collectively as Team Downey. Actual thing, that's their production label. So this is the story of John Dolittle.
Yeah.
Roughly, it's reinterpreted from the
Based
original.
on the books, right?
It's based on the books, but in the same way that Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes is based on the books, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So this reimagines Dolittle sort of by way of Tim Burton's Willy Wonka.
Okay.
Or Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. So the idea... Tim Burton, strangely, always comes up. It features Downey Jr. as this newly reinterpreted, sort of closed-off, traumatised weirdo version of Dr. Dolittle.
Didn't his wife has passed away and he's very depressed?
That's it. His wife is a renowned adventurer. She has perished on her final,
On a
final
trip.
adventure. He is forced to pick up the trail and resume her quest when a young Queen Victoria, played by from Wild Rose, Jessie Buckley. Played by Jessie Buckley. Queen Victoria is poisoned, and the only cure is from a rare flower that happens to be at the destination Mrs. Dolittle was hunting for. And he takes along on his quest his merry band of talking animals, because Dolittle talks to the animals, walks with the animals, squeaks and squawks with the animals.
So that's almost like a sideline to this.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
is. He
okay.
also takes along a potential apprentice,
Okay.
sort of a plucky young recruit, and they are pursued.
Is that of anyone of note?
Not really, and they're
Okay.
pursued on their way by Michael Sheen as what can only be described as a more sneering, more British version of Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So I have to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
the Welsh accent I've heard about.
You know that thing I always say, how there are no movie stars anymore? Like movie stars were dying breed.
No Kirk Douglas anymore.
That's it, no Kirk
Yeah.
Douglas, R.I.P. buddy. You know how I always say that there's no real movie stars anymore, you can't just
Yeah.
open a movie. Well, I'd like to revise that in light of Robert Downey Jr.'s accent in this film. Because it says an awful lot about Robert Downey Jr.'s star power that he can rock up to set on day one, start doing this accent, and nobody stopped him.
Do you know what? Most film sets where accents are required have an accent or dialect coach available.
I don't think he did. It's okay to be scared. It is his version
Did he
of
say
Welsh.
boyo?
He doesn't say boyo at any point, no.
I heard that he did, and it was quite unnerving.
It's maybe he does. It's very bad. It's a very bad accent. Put it this way, he's dreadful in it. He's playing a Johnny Depp character, strangely enough.
Right.
He seems. In fact, you could imagine this actually working better
Yeah.
if you had Johnny Depp from, say, 15 years ago doing it.
Yeah.
As it stands, Robert Downey Jr. doing this feels, at best, about as convincing as his Sherlock Holmes, which is not very. At worst, literally the worst thing on the man's filmography. And I say that knowing full well that he has the shaggy dog on his filmography. So this is a low bar to begin with.
But alongside him, we've got people like Emma Thompson's in it as a voice.
Now that's the thing, because you could hang your head on that.
Okay.
Like, that voice cast. Emma Thompson, right? Impressive. Rami Malek, impressive. Tom Holland, impressive. Ray Fiennes, impressive. Octavia Spencer, Selena Gomez,
but
Craig Robinson, Jason
fundamentally-
Mantzoukas.
Fundamentally, they've all done a day in the studio, right?
They seem to have done 2 days in the
okay.
studio. Now, that first day
Stand
was for the
corrected.
first half of this film, and the second half was for the reshoots. You know, the reshoots are there because most of the film is taken up with basically a frame containing only a CGI animal
Yeah.
and a badly mixed recording of a celebrity voice doing the dialogue. It is really slapped together. It is really Frankensteined. It's crowbarred in. Everything doesn't work.
My friend said to me when she went to watch it, she said, so you start off with this depressed character, he's not very happy, suddenly you're on a boat.
Yeah.
And
And then at one point, there's so much inconsistency to it because there's obviously been 3 films made.
Yeah.
And because they've all been stitched together, characters' motivations change within the scene. There was a point halfway through in which Robert Downey Jr., as Dolittle, turns around and says, oh, well, it's not been a total loss. At least we've achieved A, B, C, and D. And what's really interesting about that moment is A, B, C, and D were not existing character arcs in the film. He has basically slapped all the characters on the back and congratulated them for things that they never even attempted to do. I mean, he literally said, oh, these 2 are getting on. That's nice. You're like, no, they were not getting on. I think that was in an earlier version of the film and you've just deleted it. And now you're still congratulating us. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. I can see you are ready to launch into this on a massive tangent that could take up the entirety of the show.
But we can't we?
We can't. Okay, so I'm going to rein you back here, Van.
I'm going to give it half a thumb, Mother.
Let me ask you the question. Can you tell, ladies and gents, just how irate he is about this film? If you caught the previews, my condolences. If you're going to see it this weekend, just carry on listening to us and see that there is much more substantial films out there that is worth spending your money on this weekend. Dolittle, half a thumb, did you say?
Half a thumb. If someone asks you to get up off the couch and go see it, don't do little, do nothing.
Nice.